that thing was interesting, that I said was interesting. That shot's bullshit, because that's not real. Cut it out. And that is a crazy nuanced thing. And that is something that I just couldn't surrender to someone else.
And so you've always done completely your own production, everything?
Yeah, for the most part. You know, like my HBO series, which is effectively like my YouTube channel that my brother Van and I put on HBO. You know, he and I worked in that side by side.
Yeah.
And like I've learned everything I know about making movies from my older brother Van. So that was an amazing collaboration. But it was very much in line with the way I make YouTube videos. But I've also, you know, produced some feature films. Like I made 2 movies with the Safdie brothers. Both those movies were shot on actual celluloid. One was 16 millimeter, one was 35 millimeter. You know, even though we had very small budgets, they were very, very legitimate productions with actors and crews and lighting and sound. And so I've done that. You know, I've made feature-length documentaries that I've written and directed, and I've done that. I've produced TV content. I've directed TV content. You know, I've dipped my toe in almost every facet of the media space. And the thing that I come back to that I love the most is a version of what the vlog was.
I want to know, you're kind of always behind the scenes. You start putting yourself what you wanted.
It's fucking weird. It's so weird. Glasses thing is part of it. There's this great line somebody asked Jack Nicholson why he's always wearing sunglasses. And he was like, when I take my sunglasses off, I'm just the thing about it is that I love making the work. I love making the videos. Like when I watch a video back and it's done and it's good for me. I don't make videos for my audience, it's just for me. And I think it's good. That is like the greatest feeling in the world. It's like climbing a mountain and standing at the top and looking around and there's no one else there. Like, I did this. This is mine. And that's what my whole career in notoriety. You can tell very clearly as they say it, like their ambition is that attention.
Yeah.
And for me, that attention was the tension that comes with that. But how it manifests is super weird. You go from 200,000 subscribers to 10 million in 18 months. You don't have the opportunity to sort of stop and look around and be like, what's happening? But if I could do it without the fame, without the attention, knowing what I know now, I would sign that contract. I would take that deal.
But with the reality of it,
there's no way to do that. That deal never.
Yeah, but it seems like you still accept.
It's amazing. Like there's so much control of it. You have no idea where it's going to go or what it's going to manifest as. And I remember, this is a little intimate, so if you guys want to lean in a little bit.
Lean in.
I remember like towards the end of my daily show, taxi, and there was some altercation when the taxi cab was screaming at somebody else and she got in and he's still screaming. She drives away, the taxi stinks. She's like, should I get out? What do I do? And the guy looks in the mirror and turns around and says, hello, Candace. How's Francine? Francine's my baby daughter. Maybe he's a big fan, but it's a very jarring thing.
Yeah.
And it's like to connect that, like my love for creating work, my love for being alone in my office with my head down, making like videos. To connect that with having my wife feel threatened in the back of a taxi cab because the stranger is talking about my daughter, that's the kind of thing that I didn't get to stop. Those are sort of, like it's nice to go into a restaurant and they recognize you and you get a table faster, that person. But like, internet comes with this sort of sense of entitlement from the audience.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm watching a video, Marquez Brownlee is my favorite YouTuber. I know when I'm watching that video, it's just Marquez and he's talking to me. It's one-on-one, it's amazing. So when I see him, I know this guy. I know you. But when you watch Fight Club, you don't know Brad Pitt. Like he's not actually Tyler Durden, he's Brad Pitt. I don't know him. So if I saw him, I might say
it's different. Yeah.
It's a very strange thing. It's a super weird thing.
So with that, you already that was it.
The momentum was so fast, and then what happened in my life, and then you start to chase it. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of weird things happened. Like there was a little bit of doubt, like I was faking it, and that was bothersome for me. And then internet comments, YouTube comments are vicious, and that's okay. I signed up for that. I'm hip to that. But when the YouTube comments tell you, this one video, like it was just an episode, and there was nothing, like nothing happened that day. I was like traveling, and we just like went out and made some shit up. We didn't fake it, we just ran around and they made a video out of that. And there was a comment that was like, I feel like Casey's run out of interesting things to talk about, and that just crushed me because it was the truth.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of myriad things, but I remember reading that and being like, yeah, I've gotta stop. I have to which sucks because you're turning off the fire hose of growth, of money, of attention that you quickly get addicted to.
Yeah.
Minus the taxi cab driver. Like you're willingly electing to hit pause with that. But I watched so many of my peers in the YouTube space, this is like 2018-ish, fall into this cycle, this vicious, endless loop of like sensationalism equals views, greater sensationalism equals more views. And if you keep in that cycle, it invariably ends in disaster. For every one of those huge YouTubers, it ends in some sort of disaster because they're trying to make more sensational content. And when I watched, Logan Paul and what happened in Japan with that video, Logan's a good guy, Logan's a friend of mine, and his videos were silly and goofy and certainly be critical of them. But when that happened, it was like, I understood. I gave him shit for it. I don't think it's okay what he did, but the point was like, he was chasing that sensationalism in the name of views. And it just imploded because of that. I didn't want any part of that. I felt like I can take a break and I'm in a great spot, and whatever I'm going to lose because I take a break, I will earn something on the backside of that that's more important to me.
So with that, you're still very much active in the space, but in a different way. I mean, you're here. Obviously, you haven't retired.
So happy to be here.
Yes. Actually, and a side note, when we surveyed NAB attendees as to who they wanted on stage, you were one of the people.
Thanks,
so there you go. You asked for him and he's here. That's pretty cool. So what does being a creator mean to you now? Like, how chase the views to chase the relevance? But it seems like you've maintained a relevance.
A lot of people that have access to jump in has gotten so wide. Everyone and everyone can, mostly are, and certainly has access to being here. Amazing.
Yeah.
The filmmaking has historically been the most sort of exclusive art form there is. If you want to write a book, go get a pencil and paper. Prisoners get access to that. If you want to be a photographer, use your phone. But you can buy a disposable camera. But if you wanted to be a filmmaker up until about the mid 2000s, you needed education, you needed crew, you needed resources, you needed money, you needed people, you needed all these things that were inaccessible. That's over. The top of the funnel is as wide as can be, and everyone has access to this elitist art form. The bottom of the funnel, as in what's being made that's good, has not budged. It has not gotten bigger. It's changed a little bit, but there isn't more great work being made. There's just more shit being made. And that's okay. That's totally okay. It takes a while to get good. It's really hard to do that.
True.
But just because everybody has access to it doesn't mean that more great stuff is being made. So I zoom way out and I look at that and I try to translate that to whether it's a musician or to other filmmakers or to any other art form. And it's like, who are the people in those spaces that I admire the most? And it's always the people that have never compromised on their integrity, because virality fades, fame fades, attention fades, like all that stuff goes away. But if you make something great, it lasts. And that's why we all listen to our favorite songs that we've been listening to for 20 years. It's why The Godfather, Part 1 and 2, not Part 3, are the greatest films ever made. Because quality lasts. But integrity is really expensive. It's really hard to do because it's time, it's effort. I can't make something great every day anymore. I'm not interested in that.
Do you put filmmakers and content creators in the same bucket? Like, is it all being okay.
No. No,
is it part of the creator economy?
Yes, but maybe the word filmmaker is not appropriate anymore because I haven't shot on film in a long time. But like movie maker, I think like if you're trying to tell a story, if you're trying to adhere to sort of any 3-act narrative, that's a filmmaker. And I think what's beautiful and wonderful is to be a content creator now. That means so many different things. That means a million different things. That means like the mom that lives in the Midwest who's the best pie baker in the world can have her little shows where she's showing how she bakes pies and she can find her audience. She's not a filmmaker, but she's certainly a content creator. One of my favorite YouTube channels is called Retro Dodo. Does anyone here watch Retro Dodo? That guy.
You?
It is a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Exclusively about retro gaming devices that illegally play Nintendo games from the 90s. A whole channel dedicated to that. And they've got a successful channel, they've got a podcast, they've published 2 books. And that is like, they're not filmmakers, they're content creators. And I think that they represent what is really beautiful about the funnel being so wide at the top is because certainly 15 years ago, there's no place on planet Earth for that content. And now they've built an incredibly successful career based on that content. Their content's also great.
Is that, 36-hour video series or someone tells an example?
The reason why there's a direct correlation, the movie that has won Best Picture at the Academy Awards has never been the movie that's grossed the most money in the box office. You know, I'm very lazy, deliberate. Like I work hard and they're my priority. I've achieved a level of financial security that I've never had access, no one in my family's ever had access to in their whole lives. And I think it's required me to sort of hit the brakes.
Good for you.
I mop my own, take out my trash and I lay. And I'll spend the whole day like perfectly making, but the laziness, lackadaisical attitude towards creation comes from, you know, the experience I had when I was making a video every single day, or 3. I just think a lot about where I want to go and what I want to achieve my goal, which is the finish line for the movie. Like, and if I can find that, like that enthusiasm to tell a story that I'm that passionate about, there's a pursuit to push stuff out, just to push stuff out. Instead, I try to take my decision, which is a huge decision for me, guys. I now make coffee in my office instead of walking to the coffee shop. It was like a multi-year decision to do that because I'm always like, no, it's important to walk outside. And then I start doing the math and it's like now like a large twice a day. And you start doing that and you're like, no, it doesn't make any sense. And what about the time decision to make my...
And part of that, but it's really about yourself and leaning into like what goes on.
That's hard. It's really difficult because like you still have to look at that view count. I like it. So if it doesn't get the clicks, then it's okay. It just means it didn't respond to as big of an audience. Yeah, I made this video maybe like 5 months ago. Hour drive to the airport where we're leaving. I just turned the camera on her and I interviewed my audience or an audience is interested in that the way they were.
Yeah.
And that gives you the confidence to just say like, fuck it, no one knows what they want to watch, no one knows what they want to buy, no one knows what they want to engage in. This is the reason why we go to restaurants, because we want to trust the chef. So if you're trying to look to your audience to figure out what it is you should be making, I think that's the first misstep. And that's why, like, you know, it's a very Rick Rubin-esque kind of thinking, but it's like, no, the work is done when you say it's done. The work is good when you think it's good.
Which goes back to a bit of, we were talking about this backstage, the personal accountability and all of this, right? So I want to get into what you think of YouTube now, creators like Mr. Beast and what he's done.
Yeah, so he's done for what he's doing, the criticism towards Jimmy, but I think that there's been this Mr. Beastification of YouTube as a whole, which is that both beauty and one of the challenges of YouTube is that because that funnel is so wide and anybody can jump in, most people are entering YouTube and they're like, I don't know what to make. I don't know what it is I want to talk about, but that guy's successful and he's winning. So let me do that. And I think that's where it gets dangerous on the platform, because Jimmy, and what's amazing about Jimmy is he's never considered himself an artist. He's never wanted to tell stories that change the world. His goal is to win. He wants to be as big, as broad of an appeal as possible. And that's why his success is so amazing. It's exactly what he set out to do. But I think when copycats or newcomers to the platform, their only ambition is that view count.
Yeah.
Is the success on the sort of Mr. Beast terms of success. I think that's where it can be a little bit dangerous. Dangerous is a strong word. Uninteresting maybe, because you see all of these young creators and they're like, okay, in order for me to get views, I need to talk about money, I need to be sensational, I need to be crazy, and I need to do something wild. And I think that that's unfortunate, because I think the true magic of YouTube, the very best content, is when people are sharing stories from their perspective, ideas. Des Brownlee, who I think is Washington Square Park, like that will make musicians successful. But that's uninteresting to me. Backstreet Boys were great, they were huge, but they don't have the cultural relevance, and that is, for me, that's antithetical to making some way good things you can do that will help you collaborate and still work. If you have somebody who's really working data content in 2024, something that's truly unique, which is rare and hard to do, and then keep doing that until you succeed. Career as a creator today.
And does it also mean just work on your channel? I feel like you could also be doing that for you while also using your expertise and skills for other people. Like a lot of people think, okay, I'm on a platform, I'm creating, I'm not making money, what do I do? Right? When you could be making money using those skills for other things possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, and I probably said this, so I take it back, and I do look back at my own content with some degree of like cringe when I think about this, but like the idea of like YOLO, quit your job, go all in, go for it, is terrible advice. I'm totally serious. It is terrible advice. Like I've always said that I make money so I can make movies. I don't make movies so I can make money. And I've been very lucky to do that. But before I was able to make a living off of my work, I washed dishes, I was a bike messenger, I was an assistant, I worked with my hands, doing manual labor a lot. And I did that to afford my filmmaking career. So if you're in a position now, a meaningful career then do that, because what that does is it gives you the freedom to figure out who you are as a creator while not worrying about how to pay rent. And I think the danger of the YOLO mentality is that if your only way to make a living, the only way to support your children, feed yourself, you're looking at how can I possible make as much money as possible, then that is your.
That's a really important advice. I want to get into what platform is your favorite right now. We've been talking a lot about YouTube. Is it still YouTube? Where are you paying
down? I'm not even joking. You guys want to see my cell phone?
Oh, bringing back the flip.
Ain't got no TikTok. This isn't because it's cool. I have a horrible addiction to TikTok. I think that I still like YouTube because it feels much more like a utility now.
Okay.
It's just this tool where you can post stuff. It's the second biggest search engine in the world. And I like that. I like the ambiguity that it now has that it didn't used to have. It used to stand for something else. I still like YouTube. But I think the magic of like, whether it's what Twitter has done with opening up, and I catch myself watching videos that are 10 minutes long on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all the time. I think TikTok is, I hope they ban TikTok. I'm against it because it's a Chinese spy op. But that notwithstanding, I think that what TikTok has done, or Reels is doing, what's it called on YouTube, Shorts or something like that, is it's introducing an entirely new genre of content and creators. I have a friend of mine, Victoria, who's a big TikToker. She does 10 TikToks a day. She doesn't post them all, but that's what she's doing. There's no way you can do that on YouTube. Yeah. And I think when you have that cadence and you have this ability where it's algorithm-driven content, not necessarily subscriber-driven content, you can try new things. You can fail 99 times as long as you win once, because that's how the platform is built. So YouTube is still me because I'm old school and I like to make videos in a vacuum and then post them out there like they're precious and have them live in one spot. I'm agnostic about my enthusiasm across platforms, because I think that top of that funnel just keeps getting bigger, keeps introducing new people, new styles, welcomes everyone, and I think that is a really magical thing.
Hot button issue for a lot of us creators. What do you think of the current state of content monetization?
It's challenging, but I think it's more crowded now than it's ever been, but it's also better now than it's ever been. I made a movie for Nike in like 2012 called Make It Count. And I remember before I could make that video, I had to literally go out to Beaverton, go out to meet with the heads of Nike and explain to them the value of putting a video on the internet, on my channel. And I don't think they got it. I think they were just like, he's not asking for a lot of money, like let him do his thing. And then it was, hugely successful. And I remember I did a project with Mercedes a year later, and I had to go meet the CEO of Mercedes and explain to him what it would mean to post videos on YouTube instead of buying more ads on MSNBC. We are way past that. No one questions that anymore. The numbers and dollars being spent in the new media space, that social media and all the outlets that we were just talking about, is bigger than it's ever been. And that's amazing. No one's questioning the why. Why should I spend money on YouTube? That's great. All the narrative of the amount of money spent at tip top. I don't mean like 1%. I mean like 500 people. If there are a billion channels on YouTube and TikTok and everything combined, a couple hundred people are vacuuming up 95% of all the money being spent on the
Is that an issue?
It's great for me. Sucks for meeting the creators that deserve attention. It's not giving the reason million views. And I think that technology is going to fix this. It's already happening pretty quickly. There's a number of startups that do just that. Connect you directly with Google's application of AI on the platform. I do think it's reaching more and more people. Overall, I'm wildly optimistic about the monetization opportunities for all creators.
Yeah, so with that, how can creators make money in 2024? I think that's the thing.
The how is challenge. I think AdSense is still meaningful. It still matters.
It's only platform though. Instagram, there's no monetization. TikTok, barely.
Every television channel for all, every get soon working with them is an incredible experience for every creator. It forces you to think in a different way, it forces you to approach your work in a different way because there's no direct path.
Into gadgets, giving public reviews of them. I know you had the Insta 360. You were
Insta 360, they have a booth here. I should go check it out. I've been working with them for a little over a year now. And I think they're a great example. Like their 360 camera, it looks like a stick of gum, and it's what that wire. And I think that is where my enthusiasm lies the most. Like I went on this fantastic ski phone with me, and I shot all the little clips on my phone, and I'm going, like it's unreal what you can do now with just your phone. So my enthusiasm when it comes to gadgets are how accessible are they and how far can they take you? And I think we've reached sort of a critical mass where like they're accessible to everyone. You can't afford the new iPhone or whatever. Just go buy whatever shitty disposable phone they sell at Best Buy for $90. It still has a 10 camera on it. That's an amazing thing. The editing software is free. You want the good stuff, you have to pay Adobe, but you can find free software. Windows ships with it and Apple ships with it. So hear about the things and stuff. I don't care. All I care is how well does that tool help you communicate your story? My least favorite YouTube genre are really beautiful, amazing videos that say nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was at the Eclipse a couple weeks ago. Last week, when was the Eclipse?
Yeah, I'm losing track of time. I think it was last week.
Who here got to see Totality? Nice.
Well, on video I did.
Okay, I'm in a field with like 1,000 other people in the middle of Vermont to maximize my totality, and I'm looking around and like almost everyone had their cameras pointed at the sun. I get it, but it's like, you really care about that? Do you really think you're gonna capture the sun, this eclipse, better than like National Geographic's? You can just download their video off YouTube. All of my videos are pointed out, it happens once in a lifetime. That is what the interesting moment was, not the sun. Not that, there's no way you're gonna communicate how tremendous of an experience that is by filming the sun. It just, you'll never do it. But turn the camera around. There's like this old guy next to me. He had his old camera filming him and his granddaughters. And I was like, that guy gets it. So for me, like when it comes to gear, it is a tool, and it's the tool to get you from the story you want to tell to being able to tell it. So the things that excite me are the ones that let you do that the cheapest, the easiest, the newest ways, and anything that falls within that spectrum.
I love that perspective. I have to ask, what do you think of the Apple Vision Pro? Because I feel like when that has come out, Hollywood filmmaking, like how are we going to use it?
Well, I feel partially responsible for a lot of people I know buying one. My bad. I made a video that went really viral. It was like the most viral video I've posted in a long time about the Vision Pro because it's the most incredible piece of technology I've ever used. Like a religious experience when you use them for the first time. And I used mine nonstop for the first 48 hours. Since then, they've been on a shelf right next to my Quest 3. So I am so excited about where that technology is going to go. And if the only purpose of that $4,000 pair of ski goggles was to show me that, cool. But as of right now, like it's tough to figure out where a piece of tech in its current iteration fits into my life. But I'm so psyched for like the future of that. Like I can't wait. Like I wish right now I could just be like and take a picture of you guys.
Hopefully they'll make a version for you for your class.
Yeah, just make them look like this.
Exactly. Maybe you can create something like
exactly like that.
AI influencers, people are freaking out, creators are freaking out, like it's the end of days, Hollywood as we know. What's your take on AI and the creator economy and the future of filmmaking?
I mean, I think the freak out is necessary and warranted, and I think it's going to have huge impact in the landscape. I think to get really hyper specific, I think like if you've ever been on a big set, there's always reshoots. And I think reshoots, you use body doubles and stand-ins and things like that to try to keep your principal actors out as much as possible. I think all reshoots are going to be able to be done with AI. Not all, but most. So I think like those are the low-hanging fruit that AI is going to chip away at to begin with. I think like the influencer marketing stuff that's done with AI, that's going to get chipped away at pretty quickly. But I think the thing that AI is going to have an impossible job of achieving is that last 1% that stands between everything and what's great. I think that last 1% is only a human can impart that. And the examples I like to give are like, most Netflix movies that are made by Netflix are perfectly mediocre. And they're perfectly mediocre. There's some great stuff, especially their docuseries, but most of their big, huge budget movies are perfectly mediocre. And it's because that's creativity by committee. They have all of this data showing what their audience likes. We're going to apply all that data. We're going to apply this formula. We're going to make this movie that's purely mediocre. To have as broad of appeal as possible. We're going to make Transformers over and over and over again. But when you have truly great films, movies that really stand out, it's because there's typically one or a small group of sociopaths heading that movie to make it exactly what they want to be. I think of the Wes Andersons of the world, the Francis Ford Coppola mortgaging his house to pay for Apocalypse Now because he believed in his movie that much. He believed in his creativity that much. So I think that last bit, AI will get you right to where you can see the finish line, but if you stop there, you've got something that's mush. And to get across that finish line requires greatness that I think only a human can
like grit.
Yeah, and I think what it's going to do is it's like, if your work's average, you're screwed. It's over for you. Be great, because AI is going to have a really hard time being great itself.
And are you using AI tools?
No, I ain't got time for that shit. I don't know where it would fit in. I still only use straight cuts in my videos. I don't color correct. I don't do any, like, I'm so uninterested in the technical side of filmmaking, especially as it's become so much more ubiquitous, that conversation, talking about gear and lenses and camera. I don't care about any of that. Like after you watch Schindler's List, no one wants to go to Spielberg and say, tell me what camera you shot that with. Because you just watched a movie that will change you and can change the world. And for me, the most offensive question is, what did you shoot that with? Because it means it's like...
I was actually about to ask that. I was about to ask for a shooting setup, but yes, continue.
It's like complimenting someone by saying they're nice. It is the most underhanded put down on the planet. Like, tell me about the story. Tell me about what affected you. Tell me why you like this story. If any of my heroes of filmmaking or art were here right now, I want to know like why Picasso painted Guernica. I want to know what he was feeling standing in Madrid after it had been bombed that forced him to make that painting. I'm not going to ask him what kind of paint he used to make it.
So the theme of this is do what you can't. That is a motto that you have, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure I ever owned that as my own motto, but I made a movie called Do What You Can.
What does that mean to those here today? Like, what advice do you have to content creators or traditional media here? What does do what you can't mean in 2024?
You know, I think it's trusting yourself, and I say that not as like a platitude, not as an inspirational thing, but I think that that's a really scary, very difficult thing to do. If you make something that you believe in, you're part of something that you believe in, and then you share it with the world, there are going to be people that say it sucks, and that hurts. Because you just put everything you are into that thing, that song, that video, that TV show, that commercial, whatever it was that you made. But I think that the only way to make something that matters, to have that integrity to last, is to make something that you believe in. And if you think it's great, there's most likely someone else out there who also thinks it's great. And I think that is such a powerful and important and overlooked thing in all of creativity. And it's so easy to be distracted by AI, by these platforms, by comments, by technology, by all these fun, low-hanging, shiny objects that we all want to run to because they're tangible. But ignore all of that and put your head down and say, like, how can I share something that will be meaningful to someone else? Art was defined by someone, definitely not me, as the ability to communicate through the work what the creator, what the artist was feeling when they made that work to the person watching it. Like if you go through a bad breakup and you put on noise canceling headphones and you listen to Sinead O'Connor's rendition of Nothing Compares to You, you will cry. Because you will feel every word that she's saying, that Prince wrote, but every word that she's saying. You watch a great movie, if it's a love story, it brings you to tears. If it's a comedy, it makes you laugh. And that is a creative communicating through their work an emotion. And that is such a difficult thing to do. And that has nothing to do with what camera you shot it on, or what stabilizer you used, or what platform you released it on. It's purely about communicating that emotion. So I have no idea what question you asked me that led to this diatribe, but like for me, that is religion when it comes to creating.
Do what you can't.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. I can go out in Las Vegas right now with some camera that I'll find in NAB, some beautiful camera, and take the most beautiful shots of the skyline you've ever seen. None of you will care about it. It's just not interesting. You've seen it before. It's just not interesting. But if you go and you take that same camera, you tell a story, you capture a story, you document a story, you tell something, you capture some moment of humanity, some feeling, some emotion, and you communicate it through that lens, that very same lens, people will care, I will care. And I think that is like, that's a little bit of do what you can. That is a very scary, very difficult thing to do.
Well, it's courageous, it's vulnerable in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, in a year, 2 years, where's the future of media going? Well, because when I see your flip phone and other things you talk about, I see
regression.
Things simplifying, right? In some ways, but is that where it's really
No, I think it's just gonna get more and more complicated and scary. Scary for sort of the institutions, scary for old media. I think as it gets more and more competitive and people's appetite for content changes radically, it's gonna be very, very hard for people doing things that have been successful forever that are no longer successful. I look at my kids on their iPads, which we also try to limit to under 12 hours a day, and their attention span is so limited in the way they watch their content. We are so strict with what we let them watch, yet the way that they consume is unlike anything I ever did as a kid, except for maybe, remember those old cable TV top boxes where you like to change the channel? The equivalent of that for me in the 80s would have been just going click, 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 click. Like that is how they consume media. How is that gonna manifest when they're our age? What does that mean? What do they get? Are they have the willingness to sit in a theater for 2 hours? Are there going to be theaters? Or are these huge TVs in our houses going to change that? So I think the industry is changing radically. There's still fantastic work being made. There's still garbage being made. And I think there's still vast opportunity. I think the greater change, the greater amount of trepidation to break into this space, because what has always worked no longer works, is the greatest opportunity for all of us. Because it means we get to invent what's going to work next. And it's scary not to have a roadmap to tell you how to get to where you want to go, but it's also a beautiful thing because it means you get to pave that road. So I'm both wildly scared and pessimistic about all of this scary change, but I'm super optimistic and enthusiastic about the opportunity that's going to come with that.
I love that. Well, we need some optimism right now. And finally, you did talk about your big 17-year movie that you're creating. Is it a movie or a series? Anything else you're excited about or that you want to share that you're working on that we should look out for?
I mean, specifically, no, but when I think about, no, because I'm not working on any one list right now, but for me, it's just like, the more I look around on YouTube, the more I look at my own work, super scary, gnarly, but when I was doing that daily show, I was aware that someday I'll look back at it and be like, wow, remember when? And that's happening right now. Like my daughter discovered my YouTube channel and she'll put it on the TV and I'll just hear my wife be like, my God, look how young you are. And I'll look back, what I'm excited about is like, I want to put my head down and just make more videos. And if one's about a coffee maker, great. Story of persistence, all great. But when I look back at my life, I want to know that all the work that I made is work that I made because it's something I wanted to do and it meant something to me and it has that integrity. And I think that's the greatest priority I have right now.
Amazing. We are over time. Do we have time for any questions? I don't know. NAB has rules. I know we're the last session. Does anyone have a question? We have one. All right, so we'll go. Can we go to 2 questions or no? 1 question?
We're going to do a
Can I have
couple questions.
any rules?
Look,
here?
everybody's excited. Just scream it.
What's your question?
I totally can. My dad always taught me.
Oh, wow, we have our runner. That's an amazing A2.
That's speed right there.
That's the real hero right there.
MVP.
So my dad always taught me that my #1 skill in life was to never meet a stranger. And as
Wait, say that again. Your #1 skill was what?
to never meet a stranger. It's like every time I meet somebody, I create a connection and I make a
Okay,
friend.
beautiful.
We're creating a YouTube channel for a production company that I have, and I noticed my question is, how important is it to not be a dick to people when you're working and getting a big head by becoming so popular? And also, holy shit, I'm actually talking to you.
I was just having this conversation with someone, I wish I could remember who it was. Being nice costs nothing. And I wouldn't describe myself as a nice person, not a mean. When you want to achieve something, anything in this world, you get so much further. I was pulled over by Las Vegas Police Department twice, driving here from the Wynn Casino, which is about 800 feet away. I couldn't figure out where this place was, and I kept doing U-turns. They pulled me over twice. All I could do was throw as much nice as I could at them to keep them from giving me a ticket, and they didn't. They were very, very. They didn't give me a ticket. So I think being nice is important. I think being nice is everything. Don't be too nice. Be direct. Be focused. Be confident in what you say and how you carry yourself, especially in this industry, which is filled up with a lot of phonies and a lot of bullshit artists. But I think being nice is extremely important, especially in a space where everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
If you're not nice, you don't get to work again.
Great question. And just one more. Let me know, please.
Can we give them, is there any women, girls?
That's not a woman question. There you go.
How about the young lady sitting directly next to that guy?
So I've been watching you since I was 13. When I started watching
You
David
feel so old. Okay.
I'm 19 years old. I started full-time working at the same production studio that he does. What would you say to someone that, is in this environment that there's so much social media being thrown at them and like so much content? It's like, what do you do? It's like,
I think I understand the question. I'm going to interrupt you. You can fail for 10 more years before you need to find any meaningful success. Just fail, keep failing. Keep making work that nobody watches. Keep making work because you're gonna progressively and consistently get better at what you do, and you will continue to grow, continue to find an audience. And as the world changes and YouTube becomes, I think persistence and determination are the 2 least sexy, you can throw patience, least sexy aspect about succeeding in any field, but certainly this space. No one likes to talk about the patience that's required. No one likes to talk about the fact that you do those things. There's no way you can fail. You're either going to succeed or you're going to die trying, and that counts.
On the main stage. It has been an honor as you all come up here. I've been your main